Good evening and welcome to the WDSU News Hot Seat. I'm Travers Mackel. Tonight we continue our debates, and it's a big one. The race for New Orleans City Council at-large Division 1. This is the seat currently held by Helena Moreno. She is barred by term limits from seeking re-election. 3 people have qualified for that race. All are in studio live for this debate. They are State Representative Delisha Boyd, Matthew Hill, a Republican, and State Representative Matthew Willard, a Democrat. Thank you all for being here. Ms. Boyd, you get to start us off. You have 30 seconds to make an opening statement.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Delisha Boyd, state legislator, business owner, and someone who has consistently delivered results for New Orleans. Our citizens want simple things: an infrastructure that's not broken, a business-friendly city hall, a city government that's working for us and not against us. We'd like to see our teachers get paid more money, and we'd like to see young professionals be able to buy homes in the community where they work. I am number 28 on the ballot. I look forward to having you. Thank you, Travis, for having us this evening. Thank you.
Thank you for coming in. Mr. Hill, you have 30 seconds to make an open.
Every city is in the business of one product, and that is opportunity. Ladies and gentlemen, we have spent way too long patching potholes instead of fixing the streets, letting our money just languish instead of managing it. And if you want a better city, ladies and gentlemen, we have to go into every part of this city and make it work for you, because it's your money, it's your streets, it's your neighborhood, and it's your opportunities that are being missed by this city.
All right, Mr. Willard, you get to wrap us up. 30 seconds for an opening statement.
Hello, New Orleans. My name is Matthew Willard, and I'm ready to be your next council member at large. For 6 years, I've proudly represented you in the state legislature. I've passed 36 bills to make living in the city of New Orleans easier and more affordable. Today, I'm asking for your support so that I can use my leadership and experience to turn things around and make sure that the city hall works for everybody in the city of New Orleans.
All right, let's start the biggest topic right now, the indictment of Mayor LaToya Cantrell. In 30 seconds, do you support the federal probe given the allegations that you have seen, or do you think this is federal overreach? In 30 seconds.
It's an unfortunate situation. No city wants to go through that. You know, my prayers and thoughts are with the mayor right now. As far as supporting the probe, you know, it seems like it's been coming for a while. So let the cards play out, you know. I'm excited about the future of the city of New Orleans right now. We get a new mayor and a new city council next year, so I'm optimistic about our future.
All right, Mr. Hill, same question in 30 seconds. Do you support the federal probe given the allegations we know, or do you think this is federal overreach?
Look, the straight up answer is this is embarrassing. You don't lie to the grand jury. You don't do that. I'm sorry, but the truth of the matter is this. You do the crime, you pay the time. But everybody is innocent until proven guilty.
All right, same question, Ms. Boyd, for you, 30 seconds. What are your thoughts on the investigation into Mayor LaToya Cantrell?
I have not seen any of the probe that has been done, so I don't have an opinion on that. I do want people to remember that she is innocent until proven guilty. I am looking to unify our community right now. With the state of the way politics are right now, we need unity among everyone so that our citizens can benefit from that and not probes.
All right, let's start this question with Mr. Hill. 60 seconds this time, a little bit longer answer here. The governor has gotten more and more involved in the city of New Orleans. Troop NOLA, homelessness issues, tourism, flood protection. If elected, what are your thoughts and what would be your platform on the governor and his involvement in the city of New Orleans?
What time is it?
Ladies
and gentlemen, it is time for the Sewage and Water Board to go. And we need every state representative and the governor to stand with New Orleans and say, we are tired of the Sewage and Water Board wasting every single opportunity that they've got. No, I'm not going to add a new storm fee because the Sewage and Water Board can't get it right. And at this point, it's time to cut ties. It's time to dissolve the board, move all operations under Public Works, where we have drainage, streets, and roads all under one roof, one mission, one chain of command, and one job. And that's to stop this city from flooding. And Landry, we're going to need you to help us take out the trash.
All right, we have some Sewage and Water Board questions coming up. Ms. Boyd, in 60 seconds, You deal with the governor. You're a lawmaker in Baton Rouge. If you were elected to this seat, what would your stance be on the governor getting involved in so many New Orleans issues?
I think the governor wants to be involved because he doesn't see enough progress here. I think I've proven the fact that I am for transparency, making sure that our citizens are involved with what is going on in our community, with my RTA bill that created transparency and to rebuild that board. So what I'd like to do is to then join with my district council members and the mayor, whoever that might be, make sure that we create a pathway forward for our own home rule charters that we can take care of our city ourselves with, whether it's sewage and water board, whether it's Entergy, and the continuation of permits and safety as well as RTA. So I think once he sees that we're doing it, he signed that bill that went into law last year, he'll be okay.
All right, same question, Mr. Willard. In 60 seconds, what would be your stance on the governor and his involvement in these New Orleans issues if you're elected?
The issue right now is that the state legislature and the governor really have no faith or trust in leadership coming out of City Hall right now. I think we can utilize the governor's interest in the city of New Orleans. As the state representative and chairperson of the House Democratic Caucus, I have great relationships. I'm known as somebody who can work well with all stakeholders, and my interest would be more collaboration and communication up front, so that we can work with the state to move the city forward. There are a lot of opportunities as it relates to infrastructure and economic activity, jobs. LED has been doing amazing work. We need some of those projects to come to the city of New Orleans. So that would be my focus in my dealings with the governor.
All right, we're going to start this question with this board. Another 60-second answer here. Mr. Hill kind of touched on it. If you are elected, Sewage and Water Board has a new director. It seems to be a lightning rod of controversy. How would you handle the new governance structure and Sewage and Water Board moving forward if you're elected to this council seat in 60 seconds?
I think we need complete reform. I have not met the new director yet. I actually have a meeting with him next week. I am curious to see what's his plan moving forward as well, but we know that Sewage and Water Board needs complete reform right now. They're trying to make small steps with the smart meters and other things to make sure that we are, as customers, are getting a fair chance. I think we do need to examine, do an audit, also look at what the staffing is doing around there. After I speak with the director to see what his plans are, I would like to give him some ideas of my own as well.
All right, Mr. Willard, same question in 60 seconds. What would be your plan if elected? How do you feel about the new governance, and what would be your direction for Sewage and Water Board?
I also haven't met with the new executive director, but we know that Sewage and Water Board in the community has no faith, has no integrity from the eyes of the people in the city of New Orleans, which is why last year I passed a bill to put an end to estimated water billing practices from Sewage and Water Board, right? We need reform. I think it does have to start off with an audit. We have to look for systematic inefficiencies. At a minimum, they need to collaborate and communicate better with the Department of Public Works. And we really have to figure out a long-term plan on how we're going to fund drainage in the city of New Orleans. Long term, does it come under DPW? That's something to look at. I think the audit will give us more insight on that, but we have to do a lot of work to make sure that Sewage and Water Board is not an obstacle to people in the city of New Orleans, but actually keeps us safe.
All right, Mr. Hill, same question in 60 seconds. You kind of already addressed it in the last topic, but what would be your vision for the Sewage and Water Board?
I was very clear. The Sewage and Water Board has failed for too long. When my granddaddy was building pumps back here in the 50s, he still had problems with the Sewage and Water Board. This hasn't changed. It's not going to change. It's time to dissolve it. It's time to put it under Public Works so that we have one mission, one job. Ladies and gentlemen, we have beat around the bush for so long, and if you want the city to truly change, we got to knock over dominoes. And there's one we got to kick first, and that's the Sewage and Water Board. Stand with me, because it's time for it to go, and it's time for you to stop being a victim of the flooding, of the billing, and all the other problems that they bring to this city.
All right, we have a direct question for each one of you all here. It's a 30-second answer. Mr. Willard, you passed a piece of legislation that eliminated Confederate holidays statewide. It did pass the legislature. There was some pushback, especially from some people, Republicans in here in New Orleans, who want to hold on to the Confederate heritage. In 30 seconds, why did you think that was a good piece of legislation?
My grandfather, Dr. Elliott C. Willard, was a civil rights advocate. He fought for equal justice in our communities and in our country. For me, we should not be memorializing the Confederacy. It's a very dark and stain on our country's history. And so when I found out that those state holidays existed, I had to do something to remove them. And so I think we did the right thing. I think the legislature did the right thing in eliminating those Confederate holidays.
And it did become law.
It's
Mr. Hill, let me ask you this question. You ran 4 years ago for mayor as an independent. You were now a Republican. One of your big platforms was to legalize marijuana back then. Is that still your platform, and why the party switch?
Okay. Well, one, nothing's particularly changed. Yes, I want cannabis to be recreationalized because we have got to stop putting all the tax burden on y'all. Okay. Not only that, I'm going to go a step further. I want birth control over the counter. I want to empower our pharmacists so that people can get what they need, and then we're going to double down on that. And I know there's going to be some doctors and nurses out here that are going to say no, but that is not the lived experience. Ladies and gentlemen, we need to put insulin over the counter. We need to have tests with the pharmacist so that people are not hoarding and or not taking enough insulin because they can't get to their doctor. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to change the entire direction of how we operate in this city.
All right, Ms. Boyd, let me ask you, you authored a bill that has become law. It deals with castration for sex offenders. It was a controversial topic. Why did you feel that piece of legislation was so important?
First, I did not author that bill. That's SB 371, but I did stand strong in co-authoring it. That bill protects children under 13 years old who are victims of first-degree or second-degree rape, which means they beat a child to rape them. I read an article in the Baton Rouge Advocate May 16th that talked about a gentleman who was being sought for rape of a 12-year-old who in 2007 had been arrested for the aggravated rape of a 5-year-old. This bill is may be charged, not shall be. It has some other particulars in it, but I do think we need to fight fearlessly for our children.
All right, thank you all. Let's start this question off with Mr. Hill, since we started you off with Mr. Willard. It's like a fantasy football draft. We're going right down the line since we're in football season, but we're not going to ask you who the starting quarterback of the Saints is going to be. All right, let's talk about facial recognition technology in 30 seconds. Mr. Hill, this is something the new council will have to address. What are your thoughts on facial recognition technology in the city of New Orleans?
It's a slippery slope, and honestly, I'm not in favor of it. Look, it is a tool that has been used, but the truth of the matter is this. The best facial recognition technology is good communication and straight police work. Ladies and gentlemen, if we are going to move to a community policing model, then we need to have officers out on the beat, not just driving around in cars, so that they can recognize who these perpetrators are. They are in contact with other states, and we can get the job done the old-fashioned way with good old police work.
All right, Ms. Boyd, 30 seconds. If you are elected to this seat, you will have a big voice on facial recognition technology and the future of it. What are your thoughts on that topic?
I'm not in favor of facial recognition right now. With the climate that we're in currently, state legislature as well as federal, I think it's an invasion of privacy. I do like the current cameras, though, that have been very successful, especially in places like the French Quarter and tracking criminals. I think we can get adequate coverage with policing without facial recognition.
All right, same question, Mr. Willard, in 30 seconds. What would your thoughts be on this topic if elected?
I'm opposed to it, especially the ordinance currently in front of the city council. There's deep unease in the community right now. There may be benefits for the city of New Orleans, but at what cost? Do we give up our freedoms? Do we give up our liberties? It's very risky. Also, there's a lot of concern that federal departments will be able to access that technology and use it to pursue legal and illegal immigrants, as well as political opponents. So I think it's high risk right now, and I think we need to focus on improving our NOPD police force from within.
All right, Ms. Boyd, we're going to start this question with you in 30 seconds. All politicians say they work for the people, and they do, and they want to do what their constituents want. It appears the people of the French Quarter and businesses are very happy with IV waste right now. If you're elected in 30 seconds, what would be your stance on the future of trash pickup in the French Quarter?
I think we have a bidding process for a reason. We have contracts for a reason. So I would be in favor of honoring whatever that particular bidding was and whoever won it. Listening to your constituents. That's how I got most of my bill ideas, was from listening to constituents and running things that they needed to have and support it. So I would support that.
All right, Mr. Willard, what are your thoughts, if elected, on the future of trash contracts in the French Quarter? I do bring this up because we have covered a lot of this. It does appear that there are a lot of people who are happy with the current vendor.
Seems like a no-brainer to me. IV Waste has been doing a tremendous job in the French Quarter. It has never looked cleaner. It has never smelled better. For the life of me, I can't understand why we spent city resources and money trying to defend a contract when we had a vendor doing the job who's going above and beyond and keeping the French Quarter looking and smelling pretty good.
All right, Mr. Hill, same question in 30 seconds.
Look, I don't think IV Waste should be going anywhere. However, I do believe we need to have a bit more transparency to our bidding process. But outside of the French Quarter is the next thing. Look, ladies and gentlemen, we have a contract for above the I-10 and below the I-10. It's time to deregulate the trash so that we can bring your prices down, that they could compete for your business. And ladies and gentlemen, we're going to save you money and make this economy better.
All right, Mr. Willard, in 30 seconds, what is your biggest budget priority for the city of New Orleans if you're elected and take office in January?
Infrastructure. No matter what part of the city you go to, their priority is infrastructure. We need better roads. We need dedicated funding for drainage. We need functioning streetlights. We need to clean up the blight, the litter, the debris, the graffiti throughout our communities. Infrastructure and making sure that our city is beautiful and pretty, those would be my budget priorities.
All right, same question. It's a pretty easy one. What would be your biggest budget priority, Mr. Hill, if you take office in January?
Okay, we can't get the streets clean. We can't get all these things done. We can't get it fixed until we actually spend the money to go in to the managerial system and spend the time and effort in the processes. When it comes to like street cleaning or something like that, where do these guys have to go to get their equipment? Do they have to drive all the way across town? How long does it take for a work order to go through? Ladies and gentlemen, if you want the city to be fixed, we have to go into the management structure and fix it from within, or else we're not getting anything done.
All right, Ms. Boyd, 30 seconds. What would be your biggest budget priority if you take office in January?
The infrastructure. We know that we get millions of dollars from the federal government. Our Orleans delegation has done a great job in sending funds here as well for the infrastructure. And still, on the days that it rains, we're worried about our businesses flooding, our homes, our cars flooding. We're also worried about driving up the street, main streets, and hitting a pothole. There's several lights that are out all around our city. We want simple things, so we have to fight for and do something with the money that we already have from the federal and state level for our infrastructure.
All right, final question before we do closing arguments here. We're going to start this with Mr. Hill. Crime is top of mind, even though, thankfully, crime numbers are at record lows in the city of New Orleans right now. In 30 seconds, do you support Superintendent Ann Kirkpatrick, and what would be your plan to try to get more police on the force?
Oh, absolutely. Look, Ann's doing a good job, but what we do need is we need more funding for recruitment. Right now, I believe they went with an outside firm, and they are actually, has a good track record of bringing in recruits. So let's see what happens with that. However, after that, we need to give them the tools. If we don't want facial recognition, we need to give them the communication tools to be able to operate on a higher level. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want them walking around in your neighborhoods, we have to pay them to do that.
Ms. Boyd, same question in 30 seconds.
Yes, I definitely support what has happened. We have the lowest crime stats now in almost 50 years. We need a strong recruitment plan, which may cover bringing in incentives to come to the police department, whether it's a bonus to buy a house, whether it's paying off some school loans. And then we need to find out something for retention. We know we have people that come through our academy, stay here a year or so, and then move to other jurisdictions where they can live reasonably and also make more money. So we need something strong for retention and recruitment to make sure that we get our numbers up. We're down over 700 right now. Imagine what we could do and how we would look continuing the crime going down.
Right, imagine if we had 1,500 officers. Mr. Willard, 30 seconds, what's your thoughts on that topic?
I support Chief Kirkpatrick. I think she's done a good job. As far as my priorities go, I would like to see a reallocation of resources focusing on violent crime in certain parts of the city. I would like us to try to do more with less. We are short several hundred officers in NOPD. I worked with them to pass a bill to allow civilian investigators to take off some of the administrative responsibilities. I think there are more opportunities to do that. And we need to work with Troop NOLA because they've been supplementing our force, and we need a long-term plan on how we can turn things around from a recruitment and a retention point of view.
All right, we are tight on time. We're going to go right to closing statements. Mr. Willard, you get to start us off. You have 30 seconds to make closing remarks.
New Orleans, we all know what the problems are. Infrastructure, beautiful neighborhoods, safe drainage, opportunities for our youth. That is my promise to the people of New Orleans. I won't make you any grand promises, but I will promise to focus on the essentials of city government, make sure that City Hall is working for each and every one of you, and to make sure that our budget is a true reflection of the needs in our community. My name is Matthew Willard. My website is matthewwillard.com. I'm asking for your support today so that together we can make sure everybody is excited to live, work, and raise a family in the city of New Orleans.
All right, Mr. Hill, you have 30 seconds to make a closing remark.
Innovation isn't an app. Innovation is a mindset. And it's saying that you are not going to be held back by anything. And ladies and gentlemen, I know how it is to turn around a company. And the first thing that you've got to do, same with the Saints, what is the very first thing that must happen? You have to change the attitude, and then you change the approach. Ladies and gentlemen, as a manager, as a restaurateur, I know how to deal with stress. I know how to deal with big budgets. The city has a front of the house and a back of the house. And ladies and gentlemen, if the back of the house can't produce the product for the front of the house to sell, we're not going to get anywhere. We need a better economy. We need a better city, and we need it now.
All right, thank you. Ms. Boyd, you have 30 seconds too.
Thank you. Thank you again, Travis, for having this hot seat tonight. You know, when I ran a little over 3 years ago, I made some promises that I would hit the ground running, that I'll bring back meaningful legislation, although my colleagues have been there about 2 years before me. I've done that. I passed the bill that lowers the Louisiana Citizens Premium. I've passed the bill that out-of-state adjusters who come into our city have to be licensed here, they have to register with the commission, and they have to take a class here. I've listened attentively, understood every assignment, and I've delivered results consistently. Tonight, I'm asking for your support, your prayers, and your votes. I'm Delisha Boyd, number 28 on the ballot. My website is DeliciaDelivers.com.
All right. Matthew Willard, Matthew Hill, Delisha Boyd, we
Thank
appreciate
you.
your time. Good luck on October 11th. That's all the time that we have. You can watch this all on Monday morning on WDSU.com.